Previously on Formula 1 2021 Grand Prix Season 3. So this is the preview episode of the Williams versus the Ferrari, and let me see the replay. So and then he touched, and you see the crashes beside of the Williams, and the Williams Montoya big accident. You can see the final turn and squeezed into the wall and almost hit and crashed. Big accident for Montoya. Montoya's big accident. And there will be no more contest for the Formula 1 drivers. There is a high drama on a racing hard, and we are racing hard. Montoya's big crash, and he was only a first accident. So you are watching Formula 1, and find out next on Formula 1 2021 Grand Prix Season 3. Fox Sports presents an FIA Animation Studios film. Welcome back to Formula 1 2021 Grand Prix Season 3. We're done with the episode 3, Highlands. Drive to Survive. We Racers won. The Ultimate Guide. Episode 4, Magny Cours. Five red lights are on here in Magny Cours. Lights out, and away we go. Felipe Massa. It's a good start from Sebastian Vettel. Takes only in the second place and takes the lead on the Magny Cours Grand Prix. And using gaining speed from DRS. Good studies from heading wheel to wheel. Felipe Massa is on the back and he's going to get inside. He's outside of Sebastian Vettel and he's the last. Sebastian Vettel on the back and up to the front. Felipe Massa on the back, and he cannot handling it from in Magny Cours, the Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel only takes the lead here in Magny Cours Grand Prix, and here in 2018 to 2021 to Sebastian Vettel. He was taking the lead in the Grand Prix. Felipe Massa on the back, and he wants to overtake Sebastian Vettel on the back, and he wants to win. Sebastian Vettel is still on the lead, but Felipe Massa failed to overtake Sebastian Vettel. He takes the lead in Magny Cours Grand Prix up to the first place to second place. Second place to Felipe Massa onto the track, and he wants to head DRS enabled on a back wheel. The speed from aerodynamic pole position on the World Championship. You can see DRS enabled on a World Championship leadership of a 1980s or 1990s to 1960s. So the Formula 1, the day race and the night race. They head to the first turn, the second turn, up to the turn 3, and up to the turn 4, turn 5, and turn 6. Turn 8 is almost only in the back and goes up to the Sebastian Vettel, takes the lead on the Grand Prix winner. Sebastian Vettel still in the lead, but Felipe Massa failed to overtake Sebastian Vettel on the back in the track and go to the ultimate turn and up to final turn and putting out to the final turn. Sebastian Vettel with a really good studies headed wheel to wheel. The lap number 2 or lap number 3. Lap 3 for Sebastian Vettel and Felipe Massa. Felipe Massa is on the back, but he failed to overtake Sebastian Vettel to in the World Championship pole position. And he cannot take pole position on the World Championship aerodynamic body. And you can see, because there are so many failure to Ferraris, and they're double DNF for Ferraris. Sebastian Vettel is on the lead here on the Magny Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel is using anyway on the back and going to the turn 6 to Sebastian Vettel to turn 7 to Sebastian Vettel, and there is Felipe Massa to turn 5 and head away to the turn 6 and going to use the Grand Prix, and he gonna handle it, and he's going to use the Ferrari master plan, the team principal from Mattia Binotto, and going to win. And who will be winning the Ferrari time? Sebastian Vettel is still on the lead, lap 4, and going to use the aerodynamic championship. Sebastian Vettel. So Sebastian Vettel takes the lead on the podium in Magny Grand Prix. But Felipe Massa on the back, and he's still on the last. But he wasn't in the last. Sebastian Vettel, he doesn't have the last place, and he's still going to the front. Turn 2, and turn 3 up to turn 4. The curbs, the DRS enabled heading wheel to wheel from Aerodynamic Championship on the World Championship pole position, and he's still used on the lead, and a Sebastian Vettel on the lead, taking pole position on the back World Championship on that side. Sebastian Vettel, and you can see a checkered flag, and also winning and Felipe Massa. That is not good at all. So Felipe Massa used the turns on a Sebastian Vettel, and Felipe Massa takes the last place, and he wants to overtake once again to Sebastian Vettel in the World Championship pole position. And you can see the aerodynamic body from the World Championship. So that's the final turn from Felipe Massa up to lap number 5, and going to use the Grand Prix to the starting grid and see the checkered flag out on the white flag out. The yellow flag is already here. The safety car is gone out and the light's gone green for Sebastian Vettel, and Felipe Massa told the Ferraris again and going to the ultimate turn. And he still used the turn 4 and still used the lead on the Grand Prix and gaining speed. DRS enabled the debris, front wings, the Ferraris or the Renaults, the Shell Ferrari on the back, head to lap number 6, and he still used the lead, handling on speed. And who will be crossing the line first? For Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel is used the lead, but Felipe Massa all in the back, and he's still on the last place, and he's far away. So Felipe Massa, he was very furious during the race. Sebastian Vettel is still on the lead, and he's gonna focus on racing and going to use the turn 6 and head to DRS enabled, head to turn 7 out of turns, and putting the podium on the much better than Formula 1's Grand Prix. The Formula 1 is Grand Prix is using that way on a pole position and focusing on the race, and he's still using on the back and use the final turn, the last turn, and left to the right, and go to lap number 7, and use the speed, gaining speed from DRS enabled, and still use the Grand Prix. But because Felipe Massa all in the back, and he cannot win the race because he needs to lose the race, but he cannot become a contest Formula 1 racers, and on the AlphaTauri. Then Sebastian Vettel used the DRS enabled on the Speed World Championship in 1989 to 2005, since 2015. Sebastian Vettel wins only since in 2008. Sebastian Vettel used the speed from DRS enabled and going to use the Grand Prix anyway. The Sebastian Vettel, they're using a tires from tire damage, front wing damage, to DRS enabled and head wheel to wheel. And to the final turn, Sebastian Vettel takes only the lead lap. Final lap for Sebastian Vettel, and you will win the race. And who will get the checkered flag, and who will crosses the line first? The second up to the third. Felipe Massa, because Felipe Massa cannot win the race, and he used the speed from DRS enabled, but he failed because he failed the speed, and the steering wheel, the pedal, the all-wheel drive system cannot use the aerodynamic world championship. And the final lap for Felipe Massa, and Sebastian Vettel still holds the lead in the aerodynamic championship, and he's going to win a Grand Prix. Their final lap, the white flag is in the air, and you still use the Grand Prix, and going to use the Vettel is using DRS enabled, and who will be crossing the line first? And there is a checkered flag out. Vettel can see the checkered flag out. Sebastian Vettel, who crosses the line first, wins the Magny Cours Grand Prix since in 2008, and winning the Grand Prix. Congratulations, Sebastian Vettel.
Thank you.